Black people, don't hang out with groups of white people on your own. Whether it's on a boat, at a party, at a slumber party with a bunch of your friends, just don't do it alone. Unfortunately, you gotta hang out in groups because there are some bad people out there. There are some not bad people out there, but number one is your safety. And just don't do it.
She attended a sleepover with 13 of her white friends and then was found dead the next morning, but no one was ever charged. In 2018, 40-year-old Tamla Horsford attended an adult sleepover at a friend's home in Cumming, Georgia. She was the only black woman among 13 white attendees. The next morning, she was found face down and unresponsive in the backyard. Authorities immediately ruled her death an accident, saying she fell from a one-story balcony, citing intoxication. However, the autopsy documented extensive injuries, including multiple blunt force trauma that many questioned as unusually severe for such a fall. There was conflicting witness statements, limited crime scene investigation, and the case was almost immediately closed.
Black people, you have got to teach your kids, especially your kids that are hanging out with rich white kids. That is not good. You gotta stop letting them hang out with rich white kids. This Nolan Wells situation never should have happened. The parents of Nolan Wells should have known better than to let him hang out with these kids. I have an older son. I'm not saying it's the parents' fault, but I'm just saying it happens all the time. My older son is half black. He looked more black than he did half. But he got into a similar situation. He was fighting with a bunch of rich kids,
white kids,
in North Atlanta, the North Atlanta suburbs, the richest neighborhood in Cherokee County, Georgia. And he was fighting with a bunch of boys over a girl. And lucky for him, he didn't wind up dead. He just wound up locked up for a while. But it could have wound up with him being killed. And, we as parents, we have to do a better job in informing our children about who they should and shouldn't hang out with, because matters. The color of your skin matters, especially when you're hanging out with a bunch of rich kids that have, doctors and lawyers and judges as parents. You know that your kid is going to either wind up locked up or dead. So my heart goes out to Nolan Wells' family. I really hate that it happened to him, but you gotta protect your children, because white people will kill your children at the drop of a hat. That's just the way it is, especially these entitled little rich white kids. God loves you. I love you.
Thought after what happened to Tamla Horsford, we would never have to be dealing with one of these situations again. But yet and still, here we are. His name is Thomas Sith Hall, and on January 9th, he went on a boat outing with all of these people. And as you can see, he's the only black person. Now, this is not to say you can't hang out with white people, because not all of them are like that at all. I know some really good white people. On January 12th, they found his body in the water. Now, when I was searching this story, it was very hard to find any information. So allegedly, when all of these friends were questioned about what happened to him, they all told authorities that they didn't even know he was missing until the boat came back to the dock. How you wouldn't notice this young man was missing out of a group of y'all is beyond me, but this is what they told authorities. They told authorities that the last time they saw him, he was sitting on the edge of the vessel, and they don't know when he ended up in the water or how he ended up in the water. I'm definitely going to be searching high and low to find more answers about what happened to him and what the friends are saying, because the fact that history is just continuously repeating itself is so insane to me. This young man was 17 years old and had his whole life ahead of him. And now he go out with these people and he suddenly drowns out of nowhere and nobody notices anything, nobody has any answers, no one knows what happened. That's mighty convenient. It's 7 of y'all and nobody noticed anything. Nobody heard a splash when he went in the water. Now, this happened in South Africa, so maybe that's why I'm not able to really find any information on it. but I'm definitely going to stay tuned and keep y'all updated.
The way this country talks about black victims versus white victims is disgusting. Nolan Wells' body was found yesterday off the coast of Mississippi. If you didn't know, he was presumed missing and dead on July 4th. It is America's 250th birthday, and we're still dealing with this. He was celebrating with his friends for the 4th of July, and there's now circulating video that is going very viral of what looks to be him and his friends that he went with on the beach, and there's an argument. There's yelling happening. In the video, he looks to be very calmly standing still looking at his buddies. And somehow, the conversation is about his behavior. Why wasn't he on the boat? Was he drinking? Was he going from one boat to another? Now, I'm going to give you a scenario. It's kind of morbid, so stick with me and trigger warning. If I show up dead, washed on a beach, my community of people where I was born are not going to go, well, how was Jake acting? Did he stay where he was supposed to? Did he start an argument with people? No, it's going to go, what the f***? We have someone that would kill people out here? Jake, I love that guy. He plays for the football team. I'm just putting myself in Nolan's shoes. Nolan plays for the team. He's friends with those people. And the conversation is about his behavior. Just so frustrating. Like, racism is still alive and well just in the dialogue. Just in the dialogue. As simple as that. I just want this country to do better. And I see a future where we just stop with this and start going like, man, this kid was like his on the 4th of July, he is celebrating with everyone. And he can't even do that. We can do better. We got to do better. Oh, and apparently one of the friends' moms is a local judge. And if you think that will work in Nolan's favor, you clearly don't know anything about the history of young black men in this country. This isn't going to go anywhere. We have to speak up about it.
First thought of my mind was these a kid. That was literally the first thought I had in my head. I hate you racist pieces of shit. They did find his body, so we'll have to wait and hear what the coroner has to say. But knowing how the cops operate, they'll probably rule it a just like they did that black kid that hung himself with 2 broken legs.
With 2 broke legs.
Yeah, that happened too. That was last year. They claimed a kid with 2 broken legs hung himself. You white supremacists got another thing coming. Because you're going to have to deal with people like me.
Just white people will wait as long as it takes. You hear me? They'll wait as long as it takes to snake you out. So when you're the only black indigenous one in the whole entire group and all your friends are the white female, hey, that's not a safe thing. It's really not. And let me tell you something, having fair skin and being the only one that looks like myself in a group full of people that are indigenous and melanated, I've never felt threatened, not once. You hear me? You know how many times I felt threatened or felt like I had to worry about anything? 0. Because the black indigenous peoples do not do that snaky. Yes, there is something to do that do whatever. That's in every race. But like I said, they're not going to befriend you. If you wanted them, you wanted them. If you in, you in. Now these white people in the case of Nolan Wells, right here, these white people in the case of Nolan Wells, how is it the only one that goes missing is the melanated man, the melanated young brother? How is he the only one that goes missing? Nobody knows anything? Nah, you white people know exactly what happened to him. Y'all know what the fuck y'all did. Y'all some real big cowards. Like I said, don't surround yourself with all white people if you're the only one of darker skin, you hear me? Because a lot of times they really envy you. A lot of times they really just want to hurt you and go lie and wait. However long it takes, for years. Like I said, these aren't just outright racists. These are undercover racists.
Sleeper cell.
Men just as well. All you racists. And we're going to get answers and figure out what happened to this young brother. This is up.
Nolan Wells. What in the actual is going on down in Mississippi? So listen, if you got a little time, let me walk you through this, because this shit is wild. I try to stay out of it until you get all the details, but since they're circling the wagons and refusing to help authorities, I'm going to tell you what I think is going on. This picture right here, you will see Nolan and 4 of his friends that went on a boat party on July 4th. Only 4 of them returned without Nolan. His cell phone back to his mother. What the claiming they haven't seen him since 3 p.m. These people right here remember seeing them partying and throwing beer cans and causing a ruckus and starting fights. all the way up until 7:30 p.m. You want me to believe a friend of yours that you've known for years goes missing in Mississippi for hours and hours and hours, and you not only don't look for him, but then you go home without him, without calling the cops, and you just bring his phone back to his mom. And then there's this video right here. Did you hear it? There is clearly an argument going on shore where they clearly say, "F you, you're not getting on the boat." Even though they didn't have time to call the police or start an investigation right away, they had plenty of time to deactivate all their social media. Not to mention, these little parents are judges, doctors, and other high-ranking members of the community. Let me see if I can play out what exactly happened here. Noah goes out on a boat with 4 of his friends. There is some sort of argument on shore. If a fight ensued, took him back out on the boat. I allegedly believe they did something to him. Then came back to the same spot they were in, partied all the way past 7:30 p.m. Have witnesses saying you were there, remember. Then brought his belongings back to his mom. Look, I hope I'm wrong here, but things aren't adding up. None of it makes sense. None of it adds up to something benign happened. We all need to be saying his name. Even if they didn't, each and every one of them for abandoning their friend, not even searching for him so that they could drink and party the rest of July 4th away. Be careful who you choose for friends. I promise you, the only way a snake can bite you is if it's right next to you.
Hello, welcome back, and please subscribe. So, have you ever noticed that sometimes a case is officially closed but the public refuses to move on? That usually happens for one reason. People don't just want answers, they want answers they can trust, and that's exactly why names like Tamla Horsford and Nolan continues to spark conversation long after the headlines fade away. This is not just about 2 people, it's about something much bigger. It's about trust. Because trust disappears, every unanswered question becomes louder. And for many Black Americans, trust is in the justice system has never been automatic. It has always had to be earned. Now, before we go any further, let's separate 2 things that often get mixed together: facts and opinion. The facts that Tamla Horsford died after attending a birthday sleepover in Georgia. Authorities investigated her death and officially ruled it as an accident after a fall. The facts are also that Nolan Wells' disappearance and death have generated public attention, with his family seeking answers and many people calling for thorough investigations. Everything beyond that should be treated carefully until supported by evidence, okay? But here's why my opinion begins. When families continue to ask questions years later, I don't think we should tell them that just move on. I think we should ask why they are still feeling unheard. Justice isn't only about reaching a conclusion. It is about giving the public confidence that every reasonable question was seriously answered. Because if people lose confidence in an investigation, then they don't just lose faith in one case. They begin to lose faith in the system itself. And history matters here. For generations, Black Americans have experienced unequal treatment in different parts of American life. Whether we are talking about housing, education, policing, voting rights, or the courts, history has shaped how institutions are viewed. You don't erase the history overnight. So when other controversial cases appear in the headlines, many people don't see it as an isolation. They see it through the lens of everything that came before. Some people call this paranoia. So They see it through the lens of everything that came before. Some people call it paranoia, and I don't call it. They see it through the lens everything that came before. Some people call it paranoia and others call it a lived experience, but that does not mean every suspicion is correct. It doesn't mean every investigation is corrupt, but it does mean trust cannot be demanded, it can be earned. Now let's talk about this thing that every parent understands: the fear of getting that phone call, the one that changes your life forever. No parent wants to imagine their child leaving home and never coming back. And if the worst should happen, every parent wants one thing above all else: the truth. Not a rushed answer, not a convenient answer. The truth that shouldn't be controversial. It should be standard. Now, there is something else we need to remember. Social media has changed everything. Years ago, many stories disappeared after a few news cycles. Today's families have voice, communities have a voice. Millions of people can examine timelines, ask questions, and demand accountability. Sometimes that leads to important discoveries. Other times it leads to speculations, and that is why we have to be disciplined. We can ask and challenge and ask those hard questions without inventing answers. We can challenge institutions without abandoning facts. Those two ideas can exist together, and they should, because the strongest argument for justice is one built on evidence, not assumption. But some things are true. I don't think this conversation should make people question the interracial friendship. America is full of genuine friendship between people of different backgrounds. But now, after watching several videos of white people advising black people to like warn their children to stay away from all white groups, this raises questions, because we have several evidence and several events where black people, just being one black person in a group of white people, and then the worst comes to happen, they die in mysterious ways, and some investigation is not even done. So now, this makes us to question: are black people safe with white people? But from the attached videos, from what we can see in those conversations, the white people are warning black people to stay away. Like, it's like they're saying, you're not safe here, this is not your safe space, please stay there. So the race thing is still happening, and we do not need to pretend. There's no need to pretend. Yeah, from those videos you can see one black person being in a company of white people, and then they die. Make it make sense. So, real friend is measured of how people act when life becomes difficult. Real friends tell the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Real friends don't disappear. They don't leave their friend behind and go home with their friend's phone, and then the friend happens to be dead. You understand? Real friends, they are accountable. Real friends don't protect themselves at the expense of someone they claim to care about. That's true regardless of the race. Character is revealed under pressure, not during the good times, not during or even during the hard times. So what should we learn from these cases? What are we learning? The lesson is not fear. We need to be accountable, and we need to be transparent. The lesson is that every investigation should be so thorough so that the families don't spend years wondering whether something was missed, And everybody in this life deserves that. Yeah, not because of politics, not because of race, because human dignity demands it. If the process leaves unanswered questions, the doubt grows. That's simply how people's work. At the end of the day, every family deserves to know that if tragedy strikes, the investigations will be fair, independent, and thorough. Justice should never depend on influence. It should never depend on wealth or race. It's so. As we remember Tamla Horsford, Nolan Wells, and every family still searching for answers, let's demand something that benefits all of us. A justice system that welcomes scrutiny instead of fearing it. Investigations that are transparent enough to earn public confidence, and a commitment to follow the evidence wherever it leads. Because trust isn't built by asking people to stay silent. Trust is built when the truth is pursued with honesty, with courage, and equal treatment for everyone. That is the type of justice that every family deserves.